Chaotically Nerdy is made by nerds for nerds. This podcast is made by adults for adults and children with bad parents. Adult language will be used and adult situations may arise. Listener discretion is advised.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Chaotically Nerdy. On today is your host, Tyler, and your co-host,
Jarrett.
And your other co-host,
Ethan.
Sorry, I was yawning.
You're good. They probably heard it at the end of, or at the start of Jarrett, because it was like, oh, Jarrett.
Yeah.
You tired, bud?
I've been up since 5 o'clock this morning.
Oh.
So, yeah. Just where my
Almost 12 hours.
just where my clock's set at now.
Oh.
Yeah, it happens. Absolutely happens. So today's episode, we are going to discuss Phase 4 of Marvel. We're going to give our review-ish. I say review-ish because we're not professional reviewers, and Ethan hates 95% of these.
We're not professional reviewers.
Yeah, we're not getting paid for this.
True.
Okay, and so we're not getting paid for it. But they don't know anything more than what we know, to be honest.
Fair enough. Also, I don't like reviewers. I don't like critics. I feel like they focus on the wrong parts. But maybe that's just because it's me. Some people think they focus on the right parts.
No, they pretty much suck. Critics are pretty garbage.
Yeah, they're usually like the exact opposite of what the people say.
They really liked Last Jedi, and it was the poop. So,
Yep, it happens. To kick us off, we're going to do the movies first and then do the shows. We're not going to bounce back and forth per order, mainly because I don't know the order. Like, I have a generalized idea of what order they came out in, but I don't know the exact.
we should end on the shows so we can end on a high note.
Sure.
Some of those are not all high notes, but
But the last one is on
yeah,
the list here.
the last one is. So first up for the movies is Black Widow. We're going to roll the dice and see if people liked it, didn't like it. No, like of us who liked
We're
it.
deciding how we felt about it by chance.
I mean, we can do it that way. Oh, it's a 3.
Eh?
Yeah. No, but it's just a 3, so you're up, Jared.
Yeah. It's a fine movie. I didn't hate it. I didn't really love it either. Like parts of it. I didn't like parts of it.
It's not something I was going to watch again.
Yeah.
Ethan.
I would say it's definitely on the positive side, especially in Phase 4. I would say that there's a lot of stuff I really liked in it, and there's a lot of stuff I didn't like, but most of that revolves around the CGI in Black Widow. I think mostly, though, it's still a pretty good movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not something, like I said, I would not watch it multiple times, but to watch it one to say, hey, I'm keeping up with the Marvel movies,
It's
sure.
definitely not the worst one in Phase 4.
No.
Definitely
God, no.
not.
I think that's the thing, though. Like, some movies aren't meant to be watched more than once.
I agree.
It's meant to just watch it to progress the story along.
Yep.
And that's kind of,
Sometimes it's better. You have a better life if you don't watch the movie more than once. And we're going to find that out because I have regrets from previous reviews.
oh, that's true.
Well, it's your turn. What'd you think about Black Widow?
I thought it was fine. I thought there was, I mean, I'm kind of the same as you guys. Like I said, I don't want to watch it more than once, but watching it once was fine. It had some good characters in it, like David
Harbor.
Harbour. I loved his character.
That's one of my favorite characters from
Phase 4.
Phase 4.
Florence Pugh, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, she did very well. And that also transitioned her to the
Hawkeye.
Hawkeye TV show. So you actually knew who she was, not just some random person showing up to beat the fuck out of Hawkeye, which was good. It felt like it was, I don't know, exposition for those two characters, and then we don't see
It's
David.
a very, in my opinion, pointless movie because there are no stakes.
Yeah,
Because
because it's a prequel.
Nat's
essentially.
you know Nat's gonna be alive, and you have a pretty good guess that the other 3 main characters are also gonna stay alive.
Yeah,
It's funny you mentioned just a random person showing up because I think it's more than people just showing up to beat up Jeremy Renner.
snowblowers.
Snow plows.
Snow plows.
Plows.
Yeah, they did a lot more damage to Jeremy Renner than
Florence Pugh ever did.
yeah.
True.
Poor guy.
He's all right.
Yeah, he's fine now, so now we can make jokes about it. But that happens. Next up is it
Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. We're going to roll the dice again. That's me this time. Probably one of my favorites on this list. Definitely top. I was going to say 3, but maybe 4. I don't know if it's 4th for me, though, is the thing.
Saying it's 5th?
No, I'm saying
It's 3 or 4?
Well, I'm saying I don't know if it's 3 or if it's 4 for
Okay,
me.
Sure.
Because that changes it from being a top 3 to a top 4.
It does.
But it's...
There's only 7 movies, so it's either it's in the top half or it's not.
And I think I enjoyed it because it didn't feel like it was a Marvel movie as much. And what I mean by that is it's not everybody all tied in.
It is much more independent.
It's much
Sure.
more he's off by himself. It's his own... I mean, they're all their own movies. But it's his own movie that doesn't feel like it has to be based off of a story that was previously there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's not tied in. It's not dependent on.
Well, it's an origin story.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And
That'll happen.
it's a newer character. So that's why I liked it.
you'll get that in these types of situations.
Ethan.
I like Shang-Chi. It's like my second favorite in this phase 4. It felt like Marvel's like interpretation of like a 80s or 90s kung fu movie. But it harkened back to a lot of like interesting Eastern culture references that were really interesting to me. I thought it was pretty interesting. I have to agree, it didn't feel exactly like a regular Marvel
Yeah.
Avengers type movie and thing, but it was good.
And then Jarrett.
I love this movie. I'm a martial arts guy though. Like I love martial arts. I love it's right up my alley. Like it hit all the sweet spots where I'm like, oh, this is fucking great. It's the best high budget action movie I've probably ever seen.
Gotcha. If you don't stop fucking with those, I'm going to lose my mind. He's fucking with the headphones from the Hogwarts Legacy episode. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, go listen to that and you'll find out. And then next up is Eternals. Has everybody here at the table watched it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I was just making sure. Some people skipped
I
it.
watched it in theaters.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It was fine.
Oh, it's me. I don't remember shit about this movie.
It's a kind of a boring movie.
Yeah. I remember it felt long. There was Icarus, who was a Superman character, essentially, and they all had to beat him up. That's the gist of what I got from that movie.
Yeah, that's
And
about the plot.
I think the biggest thing that bothers me about it is the Titan showing up after that and no mention to it after the
So far,
Eternals.
yeah.
I know they're supposed to be mentioning more to it, but Jarrett, you're next. Tell us about the Eternals. What did you think?
It's fine. I don't people. I guess I don't know because this is right off of Chloe Zhao's Oscar-winning directorial movie. I guess they really thought this was going to be something
Great.
great. I don't know. I liked it enough, but I also like a lot of things. So I'm not hard to please. I had an enjoyable time. It was worth my $10 to go see it at the theaters.
I think I had to watch it over 2 nights. Like I had to stop halfway through. And I don't do that with movies. That's not my thing. Like if I start something, I finish it. Which tells you how long of a movie it was.
I don't think it's really that long. It's probably like 2 hours. and
Yeah, but
some
I
change.
mean like
210,
pace
Oh yeah, it's a slowly paced movie.
Yeah.
It's more of like a whodunit almost.
Yeah.
Of like who killed what's her name, Salma Hayek,
Yeah.
and then you're like, oh, it was Superman. I mean, he is literally Superman.
Oh
It's
yeah,
the same
100%.
thing, yeah. I kind of like it. It's okay. It's not the best movie in general, but it's like you said, it's not super interesting.
Have you rewatched it?
Eternals?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I was wondering.
I have to watch things twice, apparently. It's
I
just
just
my new rule.
I just wondered if you watched it a second time and were like,
Yeah.
you hated it.
No. It's good. I would say that it's all right, but
And realistically, everybody probably should watch stuff twice because the first one you go in with your expectations that have been set,
yeah.
and then the second time you decide what you actually think about it.
See, my problem is I focus more on the story the first time, where I'm actually like trying to see where things are going and what people are like, who they are and stuff like that. But then on the second run through, I can actually pay attention to what's going on
Yeah.
and like really, I hate to say taking it apart, but like actually assessing it.
Yeah.
And there's another movie in this list that was like that. And there's another one I won't watch the second time.
The second time or third time?
Second time.
No, I know which one that one is.
Yeah. Eternals though is
Yes.
I would say it's good. It's not very interesting. I don't think it had a lot of promise to begin with. Just because the director was who they were, I don't think that really gives anybody sort of a promise of quality.
Yeah.
It's just fine. 50-50.
The other problem I have with it is, you know, the Eternals have been around forever, and they didn't fucking stop Thanos. They didn't stop, like, all these things that they're supposed to stop world-ending events.
If we're going to talk that, then like none of the origin stories make any sense after the first one.
Yeah.
Because almost all of them happen in a sequence. Because like where was, you know, Captain Marvel when like New York was being attacked in Avengers 1?
Yeah.
Space. Or why didn't Nick call her?
Yeah, but she has super intergalactic sense, like Spidey sense of danger.
Well, maybe shit was going on elsewhere that just wasn't as important.
Apparently.
I thought that was just Nick Fury called her.
He did call her.
Then why didn't he call her for that?
That's what I said. It's more like, why didn't he call her?
So if we're gonna pick it apart for that, then
Okay.
I'm not gonna.
I can justify that one.
because that actually.
Then what are we all doing here?
Yes,
I mean,
but
seriously.
I can justify the first Avengers attack and him not calling because he's trying to prove a point. Because he was the one pushing for the Avengers initiative,
Fair.
so he's trying to prove a point that
Then why wouldn't they put the strongest Avenger on there?
Yeah.
Captain Marvel, because it's certainly not Thor or Hulk at that point, because she could obliterate anything.
I would argue that Hulk could have been stronger at that point, but
No,
I said could have
you could argue it.
because
You would lose.
no, whenever you tie down like Hulk lore of how he's
I'm not tying
Invincible?
down Hulk.
no, I know because you can't because all he does is get more mad and more strong constantly.
All right.
Either way, next up is Spider-Man: No Way Home. Could it stop being me for the first fucking pick? It's a Spider-Man movie. I love it. It's the same as all.
It's different, but yeah.
It's. We've talked about Spider-Man: No Way Home before, actually, and I love Andrew Garfield. Put him in more Spider-Man movies. That's my request.
Please don't.
Please do. I love him. Ethan, you're up.
This movie made me so mad at myself
Because he liked Tobey
because I
Maguire.
hate Tobey Maguire,
But
but
he
I
liked-
didn't hate him in this.
Yeah.
I hated him in Spider-Man, like his 3 movies. So when I watched this and I'm like, I don't hate Tobey Maguire, I'm like, I have to go home and rethink everything.
I thought you were going to say kill yourself. Jesus.
I'm not going to kill myself over
I-
Tobey. He's not worth it.
I thought he was going to say he had to go home and rewatch the first 3 Spider-Men to see if he just had some unwarranted hate.
Never will I ever watch those movies again. I cannot stand it. It
From a story-wise point, it makes sense that the older Toby,
This is the best Spider-Man movie, period.
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
It's
but it
so
would make
good.
sense that he would change his ways.
They're
He's
all-
been Spider-Man longer.
Everything
He's
is good about
adjusted.
this movie. I don't have any complaints. It's so strange. I don't have any complaints whatsoever.
Yeah. And then Jarrett, you're up.
I mean, also, this is obviously the best movie of Phase 4.
Obviously.
Probably the best thing in Phase 4.
Period.
I mean, I do have like minor complaints. It's just, but it's not like necessarily this movie's fault. It's more like a movie to movie fault of, I feel like Doctor Strange is not consistent between the 2 movies. But that's, I don't know.
You mean every time we see Doctor Strange?
No,
I
no.
don't feel like it's this movie that's the problem.
Yeah,
like
as I said, I don't know if it's like, it's not necessarily this movie's problem, just more of a character arc between the 2 movies that doesn't make any sense. But yeah, I love it.
Everybody loves it.
Yeah.
It's actually probably one of the higher rated movies. Like
In
rated.
Marvel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The next up is Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness. Ethan.
When I first watched this, I really kind of liked it. Mm-hmm. I went and watched it again, and I didn't like it as much. This is not the one where I like really flip-flopped on it. I didn't like it as much just because things started making less sense. Like Jarrett said, something with Doctor Strange seems a little bit.
It's just weird. I don't know what it's
It's like a cognitive dissonance for him. Like it's just total like things the character wouldn't do from what we already know of him.
Yeah. So Spider-Man: No Way Home. Just to cut us all off and go back to that. 93% on the tomato meter and 98% audience score. That is
That's
probably got to be
crazy
the
high.
highest Marvel movie.
That's probably one of the highest movies, period. Between the two.
Probably. But like combined.
Yeah.
Yeah. More than likely. Next up, Jarrett.
I really don't like this movie. I don't like Wanda's arc through it. I don't like Doctor Strange for most of it. The only fucking good part of this movie is Wong.
Fair.
I don't like. I'm not like a big Sam Raimi guy anyway. Really don't like most of his stuff. Really, the only movies I like of his are the Spider-Man movies, and even those have their problems. I don't really care for this movie at all. And it's still not the last one.
Right.
I don't think. Let me double check.
Are you talking
No,
about
it
as far as
It is.
Doctor Strange movie? Or,
No, it's still not the lowest on my list of.
Oh.
It is.
But
It is the lowest.
Yeah, it is the lowest on mine.
It, for me, when I first watched it, I enjoyed it. And then when I sit back and think about it, it's Wanda's grievances seem childish entirely to me. She made up her own kids and is going to destroy worlds to get them back. Makes no sense to me. I enjoyed it the first time I watched it. I'm glad I haven't watched it more than once because it doesn't take that enjoyment away that I had the first time, even though I understand it's a bad movie.
It damages. We're going to talk about it later, but it damages the emotional development you get out of Wanda and WandaVision. Just completely wipes it. Like it didn't matter. It didn't happen.
Yeah, it definitely does.
Yeah,
But-
it's rather upsetting if Wanda's the character we're talking about.
Playing devil's advocate here, she did have the dark hold. That does change you a little bit,
A lot.
a lot. So that's how I'm playing devil's advocate in a way that people can justify it. Not saying that you should. Doesn't change the movie. Thor: Love and Thunder. It's me.
Wow. Surprise.
I enjoyed this movie,
Yep.
even though the jokes often fall flat.
Yep.
It's a Thor movie. It's meant as a comedy. I had seen plenty of people talk about it because I didn't watch it in theaters. I watched it when it came out on Disney Plus. I seen a lot of people say go into the movie thinking it's a comedy, not a action comedy, even though it is an action comedy. Go into it thinking it's more specifically just a comedy and you may enjoy it more. I went in with that attitude. I enjoyed it. Again, it's another one I've only watched one time and probably am only going to watch one time. So next up it is Jarrett.
I watched it in theaters. I had a good time. Like Tyler said, some of the jokes fall flat. Like Taika seemed to went for more of a shotgun approach of just blast with jokes, and what hits is what's going to hit, and what doesn't is just going to miss. But
Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness. I'm just looking up all the Rotten Tomato things now. Sorry to cut you off. 74% tomato meter, 85% audience score.
For
Multiverse
Multiverse.
Man. Yep. I'm just going to start looking all these up at this point. But go ahead, Jarrett. Keep going with your thing.
I really liked Christian Bale's gore. Probably could have used a little bit more him.
They could have absolutely used a lot more of him.
I mean, yeah, but I'm just saying.
He's the big bad, and he was...
One of the
got
positive things about this movie is it's a shorter movie. It's under 2 hours.
That is a positive thing.
2 hours and 5 minutes.
It's less pain than what you would have to go through
Without
if it were
credits,
longer.
it'd be under 2 hours.
Yeah. It was a 64% tomato meter and 77% audience score.
It looks more like Ragnarok was the outlier than the trend where Thor was going. He probably works better as a ensemble character. There's really honestly not that many more stories to tell of Thor. So
yeah.
I'm not
Especially since they did female Thor.
Yeah, I'm not
They
gonna be.
did.
I'm not gonna be mad if we don't get another Thor movie.
No.
because I'm like he'll show up and he'll die probably.
I'd be perfectly fine without another one. Ethan, you're up next.
I don't want to be too negative.
But go ahead.
This is by far my least favorite Marvel movie.
That didn't work.
Yeah, I still heard that. I think we all heard that.
Still
yeah.
picked up on ours.
Well,
By far my least favorite Marvel movie.
Just the
Not even close. Like, I hate this movie.
comedy just didn't hit for
I
you
would
at all.
rather watch Spider-Man 3. It's so awful. My only real description of this is high quality garbage.
Well, what don't you like about it?
Everything. The acting is garbage. It is awful. And I'm not blaming the actors either.
You blame
It is
Taika
the
Waititi?
directing. Why Taika Waititi
Yeah.
can suck it for this movie.
For all intents and purposes, it sounded like he didn't really want to do another movie. And then
Then don't.
and they
That
were-
would have been better.
And then they were like, boatload of money. So the passion wasn't there anymore that was there with Ragnarok. That's what everybody's been saying.
This is
So
such a disappointing movie. Not even just because of Ragnarok, because Ragnarok was so good. It's the acting is bad. The jokes are bad. The CGI is good, but none of the story makes any sense. And what they should have focused on, they didn't focus on, and they did stupid things with characters that they should have done smart things with. Every time a new character got brought in, Zeus, whoever Christian Bale played, which I don't care about now. Gore. It was just boring. It was boring. The first time I tried to watch this movie, I made it 30 minutes and I turned it off.
There is a deleted scene where Thor meets Zeus for the first time. I don't know if you've seen this or not. It changes the tone so differently. Like Zeus seems kind of cunty,
Yeah.
which I mean is fine. He should be. In
Yeah.
Greek mythology is kind of cunty. But he like teaches Thor basically that Thunderbolt's not just a weapon. Like it's not like Mjolnir where it's just a weapon that you have. It's something that it's a power that you have. And it teaches Thor that he can basically use Thunderbolt without anything. And it's a completely different tone. And it's like, why didn't they try to go with that? But then you cut out 30 minutes of them sitting in the chamber talking and all that bullshit that happens in the chamber, basically, if you did that.
That wouldn't even fix it for me, I don't think. It's just a piece of shit.
Did I say what it had on Rotten Tomatoes?
60 something and 77.
Yeah.
Remember what it was.
Shang-Chi, 91% tomato, 98% audience score. So it is
that's pretty good.
2% lower than Spider-Man. Black Widow was, I just looked it up, but I can't
70
remember.
and 80. You're probably
It actually was better than I thought it would be. It was higher than I thought it would be. It was 79% tomato meter, 91% audience score. And then let me look up Eternals real fast, and then we can...
Oh, it's gonna be bad.
Sure.
I know it is.
Ooh, it is just as bad, if not worse, than Thor. The tomato meter is worse. The audience score is the exact same. 47% tomato meter, 77% audience score.
It just kind of proves like critics shouldn't really review superhero movies because it's not the movies that they're probably looking for. They're looking for like your
Dramas.
auteur, like
Scorsese.
yeah, they're looking for that shit.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
like for an action romp.
So next up is Black Panther Wakanda Forever. I'm just going to hit the tomato meter and the audience score beforehand. 84% tomato meter, 94% audience score. So it's rated well. Ethan.
I really liked this movie when I first watched it. I
Yep.
went and watched it in theaters, and I had a good time with it. I think it's a fun movie to watch. It's got a lot of action.
Okay, sure,
It's good action, but
it's fine.
Yeah.
it's not a fun story.
Okay,
I'm not saying like it's like,
this
oh
movie is
yeah,
very depressing.
she
absolutely.
drowned. That's great. No, I did not mean that. No,
I was gonna
I
like
mean
that.
like it's got a lot of action.
Sure.
They do some quips and stuff here and there that are pretty good, and it's interesting seeing the Mayan culture being developed into something a little bit more than empty pyramids. It's kind of interesting. But I went and watched it. I watched it the second time once it came back on Disney Plus, and I've noticed a lot of problems that I really don't care for. There's weird, it's choreography with the combat is really strange.
It does have some weird choreography from what I
Like,
remember.
it doesn't make sense, or it's been there's CGI in certain parts that make it physically not make sense. Like it's not physically possible. Or they're not utilizing things that they had in the past, like with the spear lady. What's her name?
Okoye.
Okoye. And she's just not utilizing her ability to be athletic as an actress either. and it just doesn't make any sense. Like there's things that don't make any sense whatsoever. There's a lot of time jumps in the movie that are like distance jumps, time jumps that
Are a little confusing.
they're really confusing. It's like, well, I don't even know where they are in the ocean at this point. Like, how did they get here? How much time has elapsed? Nobody knows. They don't even know.
It just happened.
Yeah, it just happened. Suddenly they're on the other side of the Atlantic with a giant ship that nobody knows where it came from. We don't have any reference to any sort of new technology from the Wakandans, but suddenly they have ships floating up out of the water. Like, doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's just a lot of problems with it. It's my third to last. Third to last. I had to relook at it. I know what my last one is. It's Thor.
Yeah.
My second to last it's tied with Doctor Strange. This one. It's just because it was really disappointing the second time I watched it. Just paying more attention to it. Maybe I'm being overly cynical about it, but it still sucked. Which was really sad because there was a lot of things I did like about it. The actor choices were good for any new actors. The story was actually overall pretty good. It's just do better. You've done better before.
Do better again.
Black Panther 1 was great.
Yep.
What happened here?
Jarrett, you're up.
I like the movie. It's a very interesting look at grief. I think it handles grief very well. Not only because the character died, but also obviously Chadwick Boseman died, and like, you know, all these people worked with him and knew him, and it's a very personal story for them. A lot of I agree with Ethan. Some of the plot stuff is just kind of like, why does it happen? I don't know. It just happens.
Yeah, it just happens.
I kind of just overlook most of that stuff because almost everything that's created nowadays just has that kind of shit in it because they don't want to waste or use time efficiently to explain stuff. So I just kind of have started overlooking like weird incongruencies in like technology levels stuff. My biggest complaint is probably it's probably like 20 minutes too long. It's a fucking long.
It's a really long movie. That's what I was just looking at. It's like 2 hours and 41 minutes.
It's 2 hours 40 minutes.
It's
And like, you know, Riri Williams is fine as Ironheart. I don't know if she needed to be in the movie. I understand they probably want to set up her series that comes out, I think this year, next year, one of the two. I can't remember. But Martin Freeman was also kind of just there.
yeah.
I think that's also to set him up. I think he's going to be in Secret Invasion, I think, like the Thunderbolts. And maybe they're setting up for him, like him and Val were married, and he's going to be in the Thunderbolts. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's another case of them not really using the characters. They're just putting the characters in here to like move them along in the story. It's not, I don't really love that they have been doing a lot of. It's a fine movie to me.
And
I'm easier to please than Ethan though. I generally just like, I go to the movies, I'll have a good time most of the time.
So for me, I understand this problem. Like I understand why it's a problem because the story explains it. But the biggest problem I have is the Black Panther movie with 20 minutes of Black Panther in it. That's my biggest problem with it.
Yeah, because she's only a Black Panther in the suit for the last like 30, the big last action set.
Yeah,
piece.
she's the last fight is whenever she's Black Panther.
Part of the problem is that sadly, because he was so good, Chadwick died.
Yeah.
So they had to do another origin story.
Yeah.
It's understandable.
Yeah.
But you could have crammed that origin in way earlier than what they did.
Saying you want like an hour and a half of her being in the.
Yeah, I want her to be beat by Namor, not just mentally, but physically. And then she has to do it again and win. But it's a fine movie. I think me and you both are easier to please than Ethan is when it comes to movies.
I'm a cynic. I'm sorry.
I've only watched it one time, and I will probably only watch it one time unless the kid gets big enough to say, I want to watch all these Marvel movies. And I'll be like, do it on your own fucking time.
I ain't got time. Because at that point, they'll be like 40 of them out.
Yeah.
I just mean like the ones that didn't do well. So specifically Doctor Strange, Thor, Black Panther, and certain things within Black Widow. Mm-hmm. This studio, Marvel, has had enough time and had enough success to know what to do right. why are they still making the mistakes that that they've always made? Which is horrible CGI issues, skipping content that explains things that are necessary to explain, and then having characters act out of character.
So this is why. Monies.
They have all the money in the world, and they can make all the money in the world by making more movies. Money is not an issue for the studio.
It's not, but they view it as it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, though that's Disney.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They always do stupid crap like that.
It's about monies. Because even though they could make, if they could make $1 billion on it, they'll be unsatisfied with that and want to make $3 billion.
Yeah.
And they will make stupid choices to try and garner 3 different people to go, oh, I want to watch this movie. And
It's similar to the issue that we talked about previously a couple weeks ago about the like Hasbro OGL stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just greed, right?
It's just corporate greed.
And I think I made this statement before. This is why God created bullets.
no, you said waterboarding.
Waterboarding?
Yeah.
Either one of the words. It's the same thing.
The CGI thing is just because I feel like they're not that they're putting out too much shows. They're not giving them enough time in post production to do the CGI. They're wanting to push them out too soon.
Which is the same problem.
It's the same
in
problem.
end, it's just a different.
But like they
Different
can
segment
they
that's
can still put out
affecting them,
4 movies a year
Same problem.
if they have a year of post production behind them. But they're kind of like wanting to keep the box office, especially after COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you got to realize all this stuff was post COVID, so all the box office numbers, especially in the 2021 movies, are all screwed up.
Well, I think that like Thor and Black Panther and Doctor Strange are on a different problem area than Eternals. Eternals did a lot of things right with the CGI, with not skipping plot points, and then it didn't work out so well. So then they flip-flopped again. So this happens pretty often where they do
I
that.
will say all 3 of those movies had reshoots, like dramatic reshoots that I
Yeah.
know of that indicates problems. Maybe not with what it indicates problems with what the studio wants. Like they ain't getting what they want out of the scripts.
They're still getting their money, so they don't care. They're not going to change anything drastically until they stop getting their money.
They're not going to stop getting money.
No,
So
that's the issue.
yeah.
So let's rank them.
Sure.
Because I know we've talked about, oh yeah, this is in our bottom 3, it's in our top 3, whatever. Let's just rank the movies real fast. Ethan.
Top, I guess.
Yeah.
Spider-Man's obviously top. Second's going to be Shang-Chi. I guess the the third and fourth one is going to be Black Widow, and I don't know. I guess I'll just stick Black Panther there as well, because there's a lot of things I did like about it, but there's a lot of things I didn't. And then Eternals and Doctor Strange are on a similar level, and then Thor is
Last for you.
Below
hot dog water.
Jarrett, you're up.
Very similar to Ethan's. Just to have a few things that are different. It's Spider-Man, Shang-Chi. I have Black Panther, then Black Widow, then Thor, Eternals, and Doctor Strange. But the bottom 3, I just don't really like. If they were like, you don't have to watch this movie ever again. I'm like, all right, it's fine. I do not need to watch these movies again.
Depending on what you're looking at, they're kind of interchangeable in where
Yeah.
they're at in the list. Yeah,
Yeah.
fair.
Mine is Spider-Man, Shang-Chi, Black Widow, and then I've got Doctor Strange. This is based off the one time I watched it.
Sure.
Like, while I can look back and recognize there's problems, I enjoyed watching it. So out of enjoyments, I liked that the most. And then Thor, Love and Thunder, then Black Panther, and then Eternals. Like, I didn't really enjoy, which it could have just been because it was such a long movie as far as Black Panther.
It was
Didn't
pretty
enjoy it as
boring.
much, and the pacing in Eternals was it made it seem, even though it's only 2 hours, it made it seem like it was 10. And now we get to jump on to the Disney Plus shows for Phase 4. First up is WandaVision. It is rated at a 91% on the tomato meter and an 88% audience score. So the critics gave it just a hair higher than the people.
Mm-hmm.
And then first up, Jarrett.
I like it, but I feel like it's kind of ruined by Doctor Strange's butchering of her character. I guess I like that White Vision exists, and I liked it when it came out, but after watching Doctor Strange, I don't know if I really care about Wanda as much anymore.
Yeah.
because I'm like, they obviously don't know what the fuck to do with her. So
Again, playing devil's advocate, I feel like it's justified in she got the Darkhold in a way to bring her kids back, was how she was looking at it. And then that turned. I'm not saying it's the right choice.
I have no problem with her being a villain. It's just, I feel like they just, she was getting to
A turning point.
a turning point, and then even though yes, that was like foreshadowed in the at the end credits of WandaVision that she had the Darkhold, I just didn't really like. I feel like she could have had a turning point more in Doctor Strange sooner instead of right at the fucking end, and then she died.
Yeah. Which she didn't die.
She did not, but
Ethan, you're up.
I just looking at it from without Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, WandaVision was a really, really interestingly done show. It was really intriguing what they did, and then it introduced, probably one of my new favorite characters, Agatha. That was a lot of fun. She's a great actress. And I don't know. All in all, the show, one of my favorites that they've ever put out for Marvel, which isn't saying a lot because some of the earlier ones were kind of fishy. But it's a lot of fun, but I have to agree. The overall story for Wanda is a little bit tarnished, or significantly tarnished, by what's gone on in Multiverse of Madness. But as a standalone show, like, it's really good. It's really entertaining.
Yeah.
You really root for her while wanting her to stop. It's really interesting.
It's you threw me off with the you root for her while wanting her to stop. I think it's because for a good chunk of the show, you don't really realize that she's the one doing all of it. You just think that she's there or something weird's going on.
I mean, if you know, you know.
I mean,
Not everybody knows.
I know,
That's true.
but if you know, you know. You'd be like from the get go. You'd be like,
I looked it up. So
Wanda, some
I made a
bullshit's
mistake.
going on here. I don't know what the fuck you did, but you did something. You crazy bitch.
But I really enjoyed it. I mean, it was a good show, especially the changes in like how it was a TV show the entire time. Like it was different TV shows.
the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s.
Also, we got Wanda in the Halloween costume.
Yeah.
Next up is Falcon and the Winter Soldier. On Rotten Tomatoes, it has a 79% tomato meter and 82% audience score, which I feel like both of those are
that's fair.
fairly accurate. So, Ethan, go for it.
I think it's a fun show. I really like both of the characters. I really think they did a lot of good development for both of the characters. It's not the most interesting show, but it's still good.
Would be
It's a lot-
fine without it, would be fine with it.
It's really good for what they use it for. It's really great filler material.
Yeah.
It's really good. I would say that the Rotten Tomatoes score was pretty good.
Yeah. Jarrett, I know Bucky's like one of your favorite characters.
I like Bucky. But this show does its job well enough in that it makes Sam Captain America, like officially, like in the suit. I know we had the passing of the Shield, but like,
I didn't need a whole show for this though.
but I mean, it gets us to the point where we're now. There's probably enough of a level of excitement to have a movie, which I mean, they are going to have a movie now. So there's justification for them to have a movie about Sam as Captain America. Which so I'm like, all right, cool. I like Sam. I like Bucky. I like Agent Walker.
Yeah.
I like most of the parts of the show except for the. I guess what they did with the terrorist group, where they had her, like she was like,
Oh, okay.
she made sense up until she's like, fuck it, I'm killing everybody.
Yeah.
It was like, oh yeah, like, I care about all the people that that were displaced by the blip, and then fuck you, I'm killing you.
Yeah, she pulled a Daenerys.
Yeah.
So. Which it's a shame.
It is.
Yeah.
She could have been at least a semi-interesting like social.
That's probably where it falls off for me too. Yeah. Makes sense.
But like I like enough, and then potentially giving us Isaiah Bradley as a third and the new Falcon.
Yeah.
So we have some new characters to develop in New World Order.
I would have been completely okay with not watching this show, and I'm completely fine with watching it. Like Ethan said, it was perfect filler.
Yeah,
It kind of scratched that Marvel itch, and that was all
at
I really
a time
needed
when we
to
didn't. That was around the time like we did WandaVision, but then
There was nothing.
we were going on like a year and a half, almost 2 years with no Marvel shows or movies at all.
Right.
Because that was like in March of 2021.
Yeah. Next up is Loki. And it is a 94% on Rotten Tomatoes and a 90% audience score. Ethan.
This is one of the most fun shows. I really enjoyed it. I don't really have any real issues. I mean, I've seen some other people, they've reading like reviews and stuff from users or viewers or whatever it's called. But I don't really think that the problems that they brought up really made any sense to me. Like, they were complaining because of timey-wimey stuff, but the whole show's about timey-wimey stuff.
Yeah.
Sure.
It really is.
I don't see what the problem is. Tom Hiddleston's great. I love Owen Wilson. I just thought it was a good show, and it has one of my favorite characters in all of Marvel, which is Loki.
Alligator Loki?
Alligator Loki. Yeah,
Like, which
I didn't know which Loki.
my-
I knew it was a
he's
Loki.
my-
I just didn't know which Loki.
he's
it
the
was.
best Loki, or she. I don't want to assume. So
It.
it
They.
is the best Loki.
I was going to just point you out. It's you again. I've literally rolled a 6 and a 4 every single.
Jesus. I also like it. It's I really like the Sylvie Loki dynamic, and then also
Loki trying to fuck himself?
yeah, that's my favorite part of the
That
thing.
is the most Loki thing
Yeah.
to do.
Just fits his character perfectly. Really like Owen Wilson. Breaking my heart at the end of not knowing who Loki is. I'm like, you bastards.
Mm-hmm.
Really setting up some good season 2 Loki stuff, though. Probably, I really liked it. It's probably one of my favorite things of Phase 4.
It's probably my second favorite Phase 4 thing. Just behind Spider-Man No Way Home. And I just agree with everything you guys said. I mean,
Yeah.
I have nothing to add to that. I don't really have... The only thing I could add is that it was very dark visually. And
Yeah, I
I've
do remember
stated
that.
multiple times I like a little bit more light. I like to see the stuff going on in the background and everything else. But
But it was a fun show.
yes, and for the way the show was and when it was dark, it made sense. So next up is What If. Ethan, have you watched What If?
I have.
It has an 88% on Rotten Tomatoes and a 93% tomato or average score, audience score. Good God. Jarrett, you're up.
I have watched 2 episodes of What If.
Which ones?
The first and second one.
Okay.
I figured it was in order.
Yeah. I don't know. I was either busy or something. I just didn't have the time. I never went back. I probably will eventually go back and watch it. But from what the first one was Captain America as Peggy, and the second one is, I'm forgetting. It was like a year and a half ago.
Yeah, I can't remember the second one.
I don't
either.
remember the order because
Is it
the first
Oh,
few
oh,
seemed
no,
really
it's,
episodic.
It's T'Challa is got kidnapped by Yondu.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right.
T'Challa
T'Challa got
Star-Lord.
kidnapped instead
Yeah,
of...
T'Challa is Star Lord. I liked both of them. Like, they were fine. I just I didn't ever. I know that there's the evil Doctor Strange or whatever,
Yeah.
and then Ultron with the Infinity Stone Gauntlet,
Yep.
Yep.
and
And that's a pretty big plot point of the show because he starts crossing over through because
I
it's
don't remember the other ones.
Note that if you haven't watched this show is not have anything to do with the main storyline for any of the rest of it.
Yeah,
it is different
Currently.
universes.
Currently, because they're different universes.
Actually, one of them was in Doctor Strange,
yeah.
Multiverse of Madness. Like the bad Doctor Strange, like his world was part of.
Yeah.
The incursion. It's setting up like the multiverse stuff. I'm not the biggest fan of multiverse stuff. It just kind of gets confusing of
Where you're at,
where
who
you're at,
with.
who's who, and
Yeah.
I'm not. I get it's a very useful plot point in comics. It's not my favorite thing.
Ethan, you're up.
I really liked What If. It was really interesting to see, like, for them to explore the dynamic of a world where something's totally different than what it used to be. And the overarching story till the end gets really interesting. Like, I
Yes.
couldn't stop watching it by the end of it. Just because it starts out really episodic, like, what if this? What if this? What if this? And then it becomes
A story.
cohesive story
Yeah.
between different multiverses. And it's really interesting.
Probably about episode 4 I think, is whenever it
I'm
really
about to say it's like
starts.
the first 3 or 4 episodes are really episodic.
And then it starts pulling all of them in.
I probably will watch it, finish it whenever the second season comes out.
Highly suggest. It's good.
It's good. Oh shit, I missed a show on there. Hawkeye is next up on Rotten Tomatoes. It's 88% and 89% audience score, which is about as close as I think we've seen as far as
Critics and audience agreeing.
yeah.
Just 1% difference. Yeah.
Oh, it's me first. I like this movie. It
It's
felt
not a movie.
It's a movie show. You know what I meant. It felt odd to watch it. Like it felt like just an odd timeline, and it felt like filler, which I know.
It totally was, but
Yeah,
Yeah, it was filler.
sometimes filler's good.
This is good.
Yeah.
it's a very good show. It felt weird watching it. Like it didn't. I know it didn't tie into anything. It didn't really.
Like it kind of will. It makes the Echo show. Like it'll tie into that because it's where it kind of, but not yet. It will tie in later.
Yeah, it just. I don't know. For me, it didn't. Jarrett, you're up.
I like this. This is probably my second favorite thing of Phase 4. I don't know why I like it. I think it's like the combination of Yelena and Kate. I think that I really dig their dynamic of like the banter. It's like her and it's like Yelena and Natasha, but like different. I'm a big fan of like witty banter. I don't know.
Yeah.
It just gets me. But I liked all the action. I liked her. Did he become her stepdad? Swordsman? Or they were just dating? I don't know. I really liked him. He was funny whenever he showed up. Like he was just like this oblivious
It was a good mystery.
goober. Yeah. I love having Kingpin come back. Like officially like bring him back. Like the Netflix crew.
Yeah.
That I'm down for it.
Ethan, you're up.
Hawkeye was really good. This is how you do side stories. This is perfect side story, and they can tie it in pretty easily if they wanted to someone to say replace Hawkeye. Definitely someone to replace Black Widow.
They're gonna need someone to replace Hawkeye now.
Well, he's all squished now.
Yeah.
He's not gonna be able to do his own stunts at this
Yep.
point.
But I mean, it was a good show. It was a good mystery. It was a nice detective show with some good action. Really good action.
If this was the last time we see Jeremy Renner as Hawkeye, it was a good way to go out.
Yeah.
Like it was like, all right, I can be satisfied with your story now.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And then next up is Moon Knight. It's got an 82% tomato meter and 89% audience score.
There's a reason for that. It's good.
I love it. It's one of my favorites. That's me. Yay. So it is one of my favorites. I like the Egyptian mythology about it because we don't see a whole lot of that. We don't really see a whole lot of mythologies besides Norse
Yeah.
because of Thor. He's a bigger character. And so this really dives into the differences of the gods with Egyptians and how they kind of just hand out their powers. So we see Thor, who is a Norse god, versus what is his name? I love the show and I can't remember the guy's name.
Shit.
It's the god that
Khonshu.
Yeah, Khonshu. We see how Khonshu can give his power to people to use it. It's also great because I love the fact that Moon Knight, I can't remember his actual fucking name.
He's got many.
Yeah, he's got several. That's why I can't remember it. Has multiple personality disorders. And I love that because the more powerful he becomes, like later in the comics, he actually will like switch his personality and fight differently based like his body will choose which personality is best for a situation and put that one first, which is hilarious to me. He's also funny in the comics, at least. This was an origin story, so it'll take time for it to get to the funny parts. Ethan, you're up.
I mean, I agree. It's really interesting to see the Egyptian thing. Like, I played Assassin's Creed Origins. That was really interesting to see all that stuff being brought in because you never really hear about Egyptian mythology stuff unless it's in, like, I don't know, The Mummy. So it was really cool to see it in here. Plus, like you said, with the multiple personality thing, they did a really interesting take on how that works. And it was, like you said, it was interesting seeing just different dynamics that you can get out of that, not just personality wise, but how they move and react to things.
And it was also
I never really thought about that before with multiple personality, but I guess that could be an actual thing with like how you move and walk. Your gait might be different just because they learn
absolutely
different.
is. Yeah.
That's really cool. I never thought about that.
Yep. It's absolutely different.
And I didn't finish it.
What a bitch.
I plan to eventually. It's just kind of a interest in a time thing. I watched first two episodes, and like while I liked them, I was not like hooked to like gotta keep watching.
Yeah.
It's a problem whenever it's a weekly show. I will just sometimes like
Drop it off
drop it off and not pick it back up. If I binge it, if I can binge it, I will watch the entire thing because I will not stop.
until you watch it.
Yeah, because it'll just keep playing. I'll be like, yeah, keep playing. But when it's one episode every week, I'm like,
Yeah.
now I gotta remember to go to the app and like look it up. And, it's kind of a thing.
Okay. So next up is Miss Marvel, who has a 100% tomato meter and an 80% audience score.
And I'm just gonna make it short. I don't think any of us have watched it.
No,
I have not
I
watched
have not
it.
watched it, so can't give the review.
It's like
on
on my list of things to
I will
watch.
watch it whenever, I guess in November, whenever the Marvels is gonna release. I'll watch it probably before then because it just.
It's on my things to watch.
Oh, it's bad. Yeah, it's bad.
it.
Yeah.
You know what I looked up?
The Rotten Tomato score, right? No.
No, I already said the Rotten
Oh,
Tomato
did you?
score for Miss Marvel.
What'd you look up in the next one?
Yeah.
For
Okay.
She-Hulk.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not good.
So next up is She-Hulk. It has a 75% tomato meter and a 33% audience score.
There's a reason for that. It's not good. It's not bad.
Oh, you changed your opinion. You used to say it was the worst thing you ever seen, but I guess since you've seen Thor, you've changed your mind.
It's definitely not the worst thing I've seen. I've seen Thor. Yeah.
So I got through.
Everybody can go look up the receipts in the Discord. He was expounding that it was the worst thing he ever saw.
Yeah,
It's
you really
not-
did for a
It's
while
not
there.
great. Okay.
That's not the best thing, but I had it was all right when I watched it. I was like,
I watched.
It's funny at times.
I like the character.
At least it's funny.
a lot of the
jokes don't
jokes.
fall flat.
A lot of them did fall flat though for me.
I liked
Some of them were
Jen
fine.
Walters
Some
as
of
the
them.
character, but like I don't really care about any of her.
It felt like the same dialogue
Equals.
person was doing She-Hulk that did Thor. Is
Yeah.
what it felt like.
Yeah.
They were shotgunning jokes back like all the time, and
That's kind of like
this is not how you do a side story.
it's kind of like how like a lot of Hollywood writers now do it though. They'll just like
Throw jokes
Yep.
constantly.
I'm telling that's just how they like.
'Cause they're
Instead
like,
of witty banter, they don't know what witty banter is. They just like shotgun it approach.
And they're like, if you're laughing, you can't. Your eyes will be closed, and you can't see how bad the rest of the show.
I will say
is.
there was a lot of the, not a lot, but like especially like certain points, like her CGI didn't look like completely done.
Yeah.
It wasn't even her that bothered me.
There were some of hers
It
that
was
had, like,
Banner. Like Banner was just annoying.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but he's barely. But her like some of her CGI shots were just like weird. Like I was one of them like this could have used another like 6 months in the oven to like finish CGI on.
I only got like 3 or 4 episodes in, and then I quit watching.
trying to remember if anything important happens. Oh, Hulk brings his son. There you go. That's the
Yeah, I've already seen
Yeah.
that clip. At the very end, he like brings out his son,
Scar.
Scar.
Yeah, I know.
Who is important in the future. Next up
Well.
is,
We'll see.
well, could be important in the future. Next up is Werewolf by Night. I have not watched this.
I
have no
haven't
idea.
watched it.
Oh, I have watched it. I will tell you. I will expound upon you the pretty goodness of this.
It's got a 90% tomato meter, 89%.
I'm not a horror
Audience
guy,
score.
and this is like definitively like harkens back to like the Wolfman. Like it's in black and white for
It's like a slasher.
not in a slasher, but it's just like it kind of is a slasher. Actually, I guess now you think about it, but it's like
Slash.
it's the werewolf. It's Elsa Bloodstone, and it's not Swamp Thing, Man Thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's the monster.
I might watch it.
Yeah, it's good. It's like 50 minutes. It's very, like it's interesting, I guess, to a point. I would be excited if they brought most of these characters back in like a Midnight Suns type thing, where it's like we're getting Blade eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's the supernatural side. I'm like, sure, bring it back. I'd
Sounds interesting.
Yeah.
I will watch it.
Next up is Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. and it has a 93% tomato meter, 79% audience score.
I can assume that the audience scores because people thought it was going to be not filler.
Probably.
Oh, they thought it was going to be actual Guardians
they
content?
thought it was going to be like actual import, which
It did have some actual Guardians content.
it does. The whole reason James Gunn wanted to make this was to get some of the exposition that he needed for Guardians 3 out of the way. Like them.
I'm your sister,
Yeah.
like from
Joe
yeah,
Dirt.
Joe Dirt, yeah.
Like Mantis being his sister.
Without
them-
the sex.
Yeah. Them having Nowhere as a base.
Yeah.
Cosmo being a part of the team. Just like little things that like he doesn't have to waste 10 minutes in Guardians 3. He just got to make this fun side story with the Guardians and Kevin Bacon.
At times it felt a little empty, but for the most part it was just really fun.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a nice little break from reality and from all the horrible things that have gone on for the Guardians.
Yeah.
And yeah, it just was nice. It was interesting and fun.
I'm reading the reviews just to see what they think. I mean, most of them they don't like the storyline behind it, which I know it's not really much of a storyline, but.
They go to Earth to get Kevin Bacon to give him as a Christmas present.
So
And they said that jokes are like falling flat, but.
I don't think none of them fall flat for me.
Some of them did for me.
I don't know. Drax was way more of an asshole in this than he's ever been before.
Yeah.
That was probably something where it was a little bit like, a little bit.
So, last quick thing. We'll rank the TV shows.
Oh.
And then,
I haven't ranked him.
well, I'll go first because I have mine ranked because I did that already. So, number 1 is Loki for me. Number 2 is Moon Knight. Number 3, where's 3 at? Did I not fucking write down 3? Well, no wonder I skipped one. 3 is Hawkeye. I guess I just didn't. No, 3 is the holiday special. 4 is What If. 5 is WandaVision. 6 is Winter Soldier. And 7 is Hawkeye. And that's all I'm ranking because I haven't watched Werewolf by Night, Miss Marvel, and enough of She-Hulk. So, next up, Jarrett.
1 would be Hawkeye for me. 2 would be Loki. 3 would be the Guardian special. 4 would be Wanda. 5 would be Werewolf. 6 would be Falcon and Winter Soldier. And then I guess that would leave 7 is She-Hulk is the worst. And then I am not ranking Miss Marvel or Moon Knight or What If.
Gotcha.
I'm just going to say, I'm not ranking Miss Marvel or Werewolf by Night. So I've got Loki as my top one. Number 2, I've got Hawkeye, which is like tied with WandaVision for number 3. What If is 4. Moon Knight is 5. Guardians of the Galaxy is 6. And then Falcon and Winter Soldier was 7. So many of these are really close. Like the top 3 are really close, and the 4, 5, and 6 are really close. But like She-Hulk is last, just because it didn't care enough about it.
Yeah.
More than anything, I just didn't care about any of it. Let alone it was not great.
I would actually, now that I look at it, I would switch the holiday special and Hawkeye. So I had Hawkeye as my 7 and holiday special as my 3. I would switch those. I wasn't like super. So what happened was I was filling this out and somehow skipped Hawkeye.
I figured.
So
I was gonna offer Hawkeye at 3 because I figured that's what you were gonna put there, and then you're like Guardian special. I was like,
Well, I already had it wrote down, and I was like, and then now that I'm thinking back to Guardian special, I didn't really like overly care for it.
The only reason why the holiday special is lower on mine is because it just didn't matter overall to the anything, and it was just an interesting side piece.
That's what my wife calls me, an interesting side piece.
Sad.
Yeah. She saw a TikTok of Travis Kelce,
yep,
and she pointed at him.
and fell in love with him
No, pointed at him,
and said you look like him.
showed it to Stella, and said,
Daddy.
say dada. And I was like, you fucking.
Oh wow.
So the rest of the night, I did
I mean,
not.
you look vaguely-ish like Travis Kelce.
No.
Like kinda.
The rest of
He
the
kinda
night,
does.
I did not refer to myself as Stella's dad. She tried to like get me to do something. I said, no, maybe you should call her dad. And I gave her something. Oh, she wanted like an ice cream sandwich, and she was like, "Why is this ice cream sandwich like halfway melted now?" And it just was like that's just the way it was made. It wasn't like it was not in the freezer or whatever. And I said, "Well, I'm sorry that I'm not Travis Kelce, who has enough money for an ice cream sandwich machine in his house. Keep them nice and frozen."
You just need to get you like a fade, and let your beard grow out a little bit. And you like
It's okay.
You know, you're missing like a foot of height, but like
Yeah, I don't need to be Travis Kelce.
You wear platforms.
I just stilts. Those are what those are called when you're my height, Ethan. So that'll wrap up everything on this episode. And now that I went on my rant about my wife trying to get my daughter to call other people dad,
Your life is sad.
it's not that sad.
You don't play D&D.
It's a pretty good life.
you don't play D&D, therefore your life is sad.
Yeah.
I mean, it's sad in that respect. I'll give you that. Everything else, I'm pretty happy with.
I'm happy for you.
At least somebody is.
Yeah.
So just as always, use the description and join our Discord. Talk to us. Tell us how we're stupid. Make bad choices. Or you can go to anchor.fm/chaotically nerdy. You can find a link there. You can also find a link to our Facebook page. And you can tell us we're stupid on a more public forum, actually. More people, because that's public. Anybody can go to it and find it and see it.
Come at me.
Literally.
I was gonna say, come on him.
And we appreciate you guys listening, especially if you made it this far and haven't like got a lawyer to sue us for causing brain damage for the stupid shit that we say. So have a good one, and we'll see you on the next one.
Bye.
Deuce.